How you going, everyone? It is the Board Game Bully. I hope everyone had a good Christmas and a good New Year. We are back in it a little bit later than I would have liked for our first review of 2022. There are some reasons. Where I live, rules have changed, so you now need to wear a mask at all times indoors. And it's not some like weird social stance I'm taking. I don't enjoy that. Wearing a mask on my face for 8 to 10 hours just makes you feel unwell. So not playing in any public groups at the moment. Our private group, which has a carefully curated selection of 4 people, that group can't meet because one of the members' partner is pregnant and also not vaccinated, so he's not doing any social gatherings until after the baby's born, and then he won't be doing any social gatherings after that because there's a baby born. So hopefully the rules change, we can get some more games played, but did manage to get Funkoverse played with the partner. Now I just want to keep in mind, I will be talking about my experience with Funkoverse. And my experience with Funkoverse, I don't know if you can see him here, I've got Thanos, he's in there as well. I can't show you the box for Thanos because it's up there in my expansion box where I just launch everything up there, and half of it ends up behind the shelf. But then when I pull the shelf out, if I ever move, which is unlikely because I own this place, I'll be like, oh wow, I forgot I had that expansion. So, it's like Christmas all over again. And I've also got one of the Golden Girls one. The day Betty White died, we went out and we just happened to be shopping at the same time. So we picked up the Betty White Golden Girls version. So I will be talking about my experience with those all together, but I do think the base game and the experience with more packs is different enough to warrant talking about that a little bit as well. But enough rambling. I've forgotten how to do this. It's been so long. Let's get to the gameplay. Alright, so here we have the board that comes with the base game, and just here's my hand for reference. You can see it's quite a small board. So what you're going to do, the first thing you're going to do, even before you pick the board, is you're going to come in and you're going to pick a scenario. So you're going to pick a scenario based on the map that you've got out, or you will pull a map out based on the scenario you want to play. So, you've got flags, and then on the other side of this board is another map. That one's got leaders. They all have their own setup rules. They're all indicated here. Put out this token here, here, and here. Your character start there, their character start there, yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. And, you've got a few different types of scenarios. Obviously, you've got your standard capture the flag, you've got King of the Hill, you've got control, basically anything that you've heard in a Call of Duty game, you've got. You've then got your characters. So all of the maps recommend that they're played with 3 characters per side. You can play 2 characters per side, and I guess that would speed up the game a little bit. But if I can have 3 little chibies out on the board, why would I ever choose to have 2? That doesn't make sense. That's terrorism. So basically how you pick the characters, you can pick the characters your way. I like to blind draft them. So, just shuffle these under the table and then hand them out at random. So you see they're not cards. So you can see you've got the character description there. We've got Thanos right up the front. You've got their abilities here. The currency tokens that they start with. Their defense, how many dice you roll when they get attacked. And an innate ability that they can do at any time. So these abilities here, they don't cost the number associated in currency. They always cost 1 currency, but this indicates where they go on the cooldown bar. So the cooldown bar, its maximum is 4. So each player will have one of these cooldown bars, and when they use an ability, or they score a temporary point or something like that, it will go on the number it is associated with. So as we just saw with Thanos, his would go on the 4. At the end of each round, everything on here gets moved down. When it gets to 1, when it moves down again, comes back into your pool. 1 is also where you will put characters who have been knocked out, so they only stay knocked out for 1 round. They go back into your pool and can be used again after that. So obviously the more powerful ability take more rounds before you can use them again. But if you're using someone like Thanos, you really only need to use abilities on him anyway because he's broken. This is what your little characters will look like. Little miniature Funkoverse pops. They're pretty cute, pretty cool. There's a good little of detail on them. They all come obviously pre-painted and everything like that. So, you know, miniatures games, a lot of people don't play them because they got to put their own stuff together. They got to bloody, you know, paint them after that. But this one here, it's just ready to go. So you get your side of 3. We'll just reach randomly into the box and, you know, oh, we've got the alpha male squad here. That just randomly pulled them out. Who would have thought that happened? Thanos, Joker, and Batman. You'd put them in their areas. You'd give one of them a starting equipment. As per the rule book. I would like to get more packs and see how it works with everyone having their own equipment. That could be pretty interesting. But as it stands now, there's not enough equipment in the game to do that, so you just give one character on each team a piece of equipment, and then they basically become your characters that you want to focus on using because they're better than anyone else. What will happen is on your turn, you will do 2 actions. Actions can be done multiple times. So your basic action is move. You can move 2 squares. So if you were to move, you'd be able to move up to 4 squares. You can move diagonally, which does let you cover more of the board quickly. You can engage another character. So a basic engage is you roll 2 dice, they roll 2 dice. If your hits are more than their defenses, you win. They will then get knocked down. You will need to attack them a second time, exact same rules, and beat them for them to then be knocked out. And in most scenarios, that will score you a point. If one of your allies is knocked down, one of your basic abilities can be to come over and to pick them up. That will let them still have their turn, which is good. Another ability is if you are down, no one has come and picked you up yet, and you still have an active turn, you can stand yourself back up. But that is it for your turn. You can also interact with points around the map, and that is that. So one character will do their 2 actions. They will then be exhausted for the rest of the turn. Your opponent will then do 2 actions on one of their characters. They will be exhausted for the rest of the turn. Vice versa until all the characters are exhausted. You will then start a new round. The important thing to remember there is the person to go last will also be the person to go first. So if you have a strong last turn and you then can put that into a strong first turn, can be very devastating to your opponent. Get some cheap, easy, early knockouts. If you finish with an attack that's successful and then you get to start, you activate that character straight away and attack again. Get a nice early knockout before they've even had a chance to use that character this round. This will keep going back and forth until you satisfy the points on the scenario card. And then the game will end. Some of the characters have little extra cards, which are just basically extra abilities that can be used if the camera focuses. Focus on my hand, camera. There you go. Little extra abilities that can be used, but they will just be given on setup. And you'll go back and forth. Someone will win, someone will lose, and then the game will be over. Alright, let's go have a look at our rating. So, that's how Funkoverse works. I feel like Funkoverse is one of those games that you need more than just the base set. I got the Batman base set. You get Batman, Batgirl, Joker, and Harley Quinn. And then you get like a little cardboard chit for a police officer and a goon. If I've got 4 little chibi Funkos running around the board, I don't want the 2 little chits. And yeah, I don't have to play with them. I could just play like a 2v2 figure game. But the game is supposed to be played at 3v3. So I find that to be an odd choice. But it makes sense. You know, Funkos, they're all about collecting, right? They don't give you the whole set. Like I've got the Firefly set up here. They didn't give me the whole set in one box. They make me go and buy a whole bunch of stuff to get the whole set. And this is sort of what this game feels like it was designed to do. It feels like it was designed to make you buy more and more so you feel like you can have a more complete experience. And some people are going to really hate that. I don't mind it, personally. My only, financial vice, really, is gaming. It used to be both video gaming and board gaming, but I've cut back on how much I spend on video games. You know, I might spend $100 in 6 months on video games, where, you know, in my previous job, where I was earning a little bit more, I'd spend $100 every week. So, yeah, the only place I really waste my money, which I don't think it's a waste, obviously, or else I wouldn't do it, is board gaming. So I don't mind that whole, like, gotta catch 'em all feeling. I don't mind that. And when you get them... So we just blind drafted when we played. So it ended up we had like a team of Thanos, Blanche, and Batgirl? No, the Joker. Thanos, Blanche, and the Joker versus Batgirl, Harley Quinn, and Betty White. Like, that's just entertaining to me. I don't care that I had to buy 2 games to get that experience. I just enjoy it. So, yeah, I think if you want a full in-a-box experience, which is definitely not too much to ask for, Funkoverse may be one to give a miss. But with that disclaimer, let's jump into our rating system. Alright, so here we go with our rating system. Better put my phone right there so I don't forget how to do averages. So, Funkoverse, with a little bit extra, how does it add up? If you're willing to spend the money, that is. I think if you're not willing to spend the money, I think you should probably take 2 points off my final rating. Okay? Which over 4 is divide by. So take half. If you're not willing to spend the money, if you just want a complete box experience, take 0.5 off of my final rating, and that's what I think. But I'm not going to rate them separately. So, rules. Rules are okay. There are some issues I have with the rules. Firstly, when you pick a scenario, the scenarios come in the box. They're associated with the maps that also come in the box. So, I get my little scenario card. I pick my scenario, and it's got the scenario objectives, and it's got, you know, lay out the tiles like this. I'm like, okay, cool. So it's like put down an A, B, C, D. Alright, cool. What does A, B, C, D do? It's like, refer to the book for additional scoring. Literally, A, B, C, D, it was end your turn next to it and interact with it, and you get 1 point. I shouldn't need to go into the rule book for that. You can just write that on the scenario card. There's plenty of room. Plenty of room. So that's an issue. I don't like this whole, here's one rule, go into this other book to figure it out. Nah, I'm not about that life. Also, and this is always going to happen in combat games and games of this nature, line of sight. There's nothing wrong with line of sight rules, but oh my god, there has to be a better way to write them. Every time I play a game like this, like I'm like, yep, cool. Then it gets to the line of sight and there's like 40 different diagrams showing you all the different possibilities of what happens, and my eyes just glaze over and I'm like, whatever, we'll just go with what makes sense. It's not a Funkoverse problem, it's a line of sight rules problem. So I'm not going to be too critical about it, but yeah, it was the same, but I'm not doing this. So I'm giving the rules a 7 for that double referencing and for the line of sight. Then we go into the accessibility. I'm also giving the accessibility a 7. And I said, way back in my first review, rules and accessibility are not the same thing, but they always seem to get marked really similar. But the accessibility is for a complete different reason. This game has a lot of gamer logic in it. So, when all the characters have their little character cards with their special abilities. So when I was explaining the game to my partner, she was like, I'm going to do this. And it was like an ability that let her attack someone for 4 dice. And I'm like, but you're not next to anyone. She's like, it doesn't say I have to be next to someone. I'm like, yeah, but it wouldn't make sense for you to be able to just attack anyone on the board. It's like, well, show me the rule that says that. And there is no rule that says that. It's just, it takes for granted that you're familiar with this style of game, so it skips over some of those important things. And let's be honest, you know, it's a Funko Pop game. The odds that this is someone's first experience with a little miniatures battle game is really high. So I don't think you can take it for granted that people are just going to understand gamer rules. So that's why we gave the accessibility a 7. The artwork, look, I know pop vinyl artwork is real controversial. Some people are like, it's just the same thing with different hair and a different outfit. I don't care. It's cute. I like it. Artwork's a 9. And last but not least, the gameplay. I would play it again. There were some issues. There were definitely some issues in the gameplay, some balancing issues, but I would expect that for a game like this that's using little miniature Funkos. But it's a little bit long. You know, we jumped into a game, you know, with the Golden Girls, Batman, and Thanos just bitch slapped the shit out of everyone, and that's fine for 20 or 30 minutes. But after 90 minutes of Thanos just being this overpowered guy just slapping everyone down, it's like, fuck, this is starting to drag on a little bit. So, in games like this, you can have those imbalances, and those imbalances are really funny. And when it goes the other way, you know, Betty White smacks around Thanos, it's really funny. But like, the longer the game goes, the less funny it gets, and the more it's like, okay, yes, we get it, Thanos is really strong, okay, cool, yes, you win, can we just move on with our lives? Jesus. I think maybe if you put like a point system, that could be interesting. So if all the characters had different points based on their strengths, so it's like, okay, you can draft a team of 10. So if you take Thanos, who's a 7, you're only going to be able to take one other weak character who's a 3. Whereas if you take, 5 2s, you've got more characters, but they're not as strong. That could be interesting. It would require a whole bunch of balancing and stuff. But when you look at the character cards, they're not equal. All characters were not created equal, which again, I really want to stress is fine. But in a game that runs 90 minutes to 2 hours, it's not that fine anymore. I am really interested to get another set of this. So we have 12 characters and do like a 2v2 thing. That'll be cool. And that may influence my gameplay rating in the future. I can see myself saying this is the only way I want to play this game. But until I've done it, we just have to leave it at the 7 that it is. So we take those numbers, we average them out. That's a 7.5 out of 10. By no means bad. I just think you tweak that rule book a little bit. You make it a little bit more accessible, understanding that it is probably going to be a lot of people's first time with this sort of game. And you do a little something with the characters, speed up the gameplay, or somehow balance out those characters a little bit. And it's going to be a game with a lot of staying power. I just think the way it comes in the box, there's not enough in the box. And then when you add the other stuff in, it just gets a little bit random for the length that it is. So I could be completely wrong. I might just be bad at games. Let me know.